As F1 moves back to Europe, Ralf Schumacher will be out of action for up to 12 weeks. As a result of his high-speed crash at Indy, he sustained 2 fractures in his spinal column and stays at home to recover. The team's official test and reserve driver, Marc Gené, will replace him for the French Grand Prix.
I'm already happy to be here, race this weekend. Normally drivers have 18 chances to prove how good they are. When you have only 1 chance, it's difficult because you don't know how much to risk. And you know that the mistake is usually really unwelcome from the team. And whatever comes, it will come. I try not to think so much in the future because I don't control the future at the moment.
His control of the car was up for debate in qualifying. He lines up an unwelcome 8th. The French Grand Prix ensures the Renault fans are out en masse. Their reward? Fernando Alonso on pole for the first time this season. A quick-starting French car with the French tyres on pole at Manicourt could be bad news for second-place Michael Schumacher. David Coulthard scores his best qualifying since Brazil last year to line up 3rd in McLaren's revised car. Ferrari will need an aggressive strategy up their sleeve to win this one. Michael doesn't give Alonso any trouble and slots in behind while Trulli storms past Coulthard and Button into 3rd place. Kimi Raikkonen pushed too hard in qualifying and begins his comeback from 9th. Sato is his first victim, albeit unwilling. But Kimi still takes 7th. Alonso still leads Michael, but Trulli is struggling to keep up. Not everyone had a trouble-free start. Olivier Panis found himself at the back thanks to a clutch problem that activated his anti-stall mechanism. It's starting to go wrong for BAR. Sato won't be repeating the podium of Indianapolis. It's not quite as dramatic as some of his other engine failures, but the result is the same. Taku's Honda engine began losing power shortly after his stop, and the team could do nothing. Montoya hits the curb too hard and spins right in front of the Ferrari pit wall, losing several places. It's been a tough weekend for Juan. He crashed heavily on Friday and injured his neck. Now Raikkonen relegates him to 9th. The race leader makes his 2nd pit stop. He kept the lead in the 1st round, but Michael is already in the final corner. The lead is lost, and Flavio knows it. By the time Fernando gets out, Michael is long gone. Now Renault are playing catch-up to Ferrari. The positions remain the same after the 3rd pit stops, but Alonso took on a lot more fuel than Michael, and he's having trouble with the back markers. Fernando wants to win, but Massa is not helping. And gets a 2nd dose of the now infamous Alonso gesture. At Button's 3rd and final pit stop, his anti-stall kicks in, nearly bringing the car to a standstill. He gets going, but he rejoins 4th. Just behind the Renault of Trulli. And what's more, he's got a very feisty Rubens Barrichello closing him down. Jenson doesn't yield, but there's no halting Rubens. Ferrari revealed their radical strategy when Michael makes a fourth visit to the pits for a splash and dash. His race engineer Luca Baldessari came up with the idea shortly before the race, and it pays off brilliantly. Barrichello's late race pace gives the team something else to smile about. One mistake from Trulli will cost him the podium. But surely it's too late as Michael takes the checkered flag for win number 7 at Magny-Cours. But it's not over yet. Just a few more corners. The mistake was made, and Barrichello is right where he needs to be. Who would have thought it? A splendid drive from 10th to 3rd from Rubens, combined with a fantastic strategy from the team. Only 2 cars retired, and Rubens is the only man to score points at every round. But Trulli's error did not go down well with the team, whereas Rubens was only too pleased.
Yeah, it was a great moment. I think, you know, Jarno made a small mistake on the corner before, and I was able to get the slipstream and just go for it.
Ferrari know that to break records, you have to take a gamble. And with Silverstone only a week away, Michael could be a step closer to a 7th world title. It wouldn't be the British Grand Prix without the threat of rain to spice up the action. Dark clouds gathered on Saturday morning, so most drivers were keen to sacrifice their pre-qualifying run so they could complete their qualifying lap before the weather deteriorated. Michael Schumacher had a dubious spin. Mark Webber clearly backed off the pace. As did Juan Pablo Montoya. The clouds got darker, but the rain did stay away. When the cars did go at full speed, it was Kimi Raikkonen that set the fastest lap, to the delight of the McLaren pit wall. But there were few smiles to be had once the paddock learned of the sudden death of Minardi sporting director John Walton on Friday night. John had worked with Lotus, Benetton, Prost and Jordan over the years before moving to Minardi in 2002. They did not participate on Saturday morning, and on Sunday there was a minute's silence in the pit lane in his honour. The team paid tribute to him by running without any sponsorship on their cars. Instead, just a simple message in his memory. He was a popular figure in the F1 community and will be profoundly missed by all. Silverstone is the home Grand Prix for many of the teams, so it's particularly rewarding for McLaren to see Raikkonen on pole for the first time this season. 4 drivers had engine changes over the weekend. Fernando Alonso was one of them. He lines up 16th. At the front, Kimi has to keep an eye on Rubens, Jensen and Michael behind. But no worries, the McLaren has an awesome start. Alonso was squeezed off the grid and isn't quite up to speed. Now he springs into action. The Jordan of Heidfeld is easy prey. He's on a roll now, and only a few corners later, he can relieve Klein of 14th. Lap 11 and McLaren are preparing for the first round of stops. Kimi Raikkonen is in and Michael takes the lead as Button and Barrichello have made their stops. The mechanics do all they can to keep their man at the front. But the ability to set blisteringly fast laps before a pit stop is a trick Michael's turned into an art. And when Kimi encounters traffic on his outlap, Ferrari's goal looks complete. Eventually, Kimi passes Sato for second, but he's lost quite a bit of time. And there's more to be lost. Now he has the battling Minardis to contend with. BAR had high hopes for this weekend, but a resurgent McLaren was not in the game plan. Their drivers are in a different race to the front runners, and Sato's going backwards. Webber just stole third. Now Massa and Button ease past. Michael stops later than most. Only Fisichella is yet to come in. Schumacher sacrificed his qualifying for a two-stop strategy that could pay off as everyone else encounters traffic. Backmarkers or not, even Ferrari must be surprised when Michael takes the lead from Kimi. Now it's Raikkonen who must play catch-up. He may have just lost the lead, but this is a very motivating sight for the team that suffered so much this season. Finally, McLaren are back fighting with Ferrari. By the second round of stops, Barrichello has joined the crusade. Kimi is second and desperate for a good finish. Barrichello is third. And there's no change when they exit the pit lane. Rubens will have to lap the other McLaren. It's a very difficult weekend for Minardi, but now Bruni's premature exit causes minor injuries to several of the crew. Zolt Baumgartner said that he would get to the end of the race for John. It was a valiant attempt, but he's forced to retire with a blown engine. After Schumacher's second stop, Kimi is right on his tail, and Barrichello is waiting in the wings. The advantage is with Michael, though. He won't have to pit again. All attention switches to Renault. Jarno Trulli has had an horrific accident. His car is strewn across the track. It looks like a rear suspension failure caused him to spin in the middle of bridge. There's debris everywhere, but somehow Jarno escapes without injury. The safety car will have to be deployed, sending many cars into the pits to make their third stops.
It looked pretty bad as the car rolled over. When I stopped, there is very little attached to the car, but luckily I'm perfectly okay. I walked away from a big shunt with no problem.
And he'll be able to celebrate his 30th birthday on Tuesday. Both Raikkonen and Barrichello used the safety car period to wipe out any advantage Michael had with his strategy. But Kimi has a couple of back markers between him and the world champion. And, of course, Rubens isn't far behind. Kimi makes light work of the Jaguar and Toyota to start reeling in Michael. But Rubens is quicker than him in the first sector and keeping him in sight. Montoya can't repeat last year's second place, but he did use the safety car to get ahead of the two-stopping Fisichella for fifth. There's no halting the Ferrari winning machine, even though it's a home track for many of their rivals. Michael Schumacher takes his 80th Formula One win. But Raikkonen and Barrichello kept him working until the end. Both world titles look to be in Ferrari's grasp. Fisichella had an excellent race despite starting from the back, and Webber bagged a point for Jaguar, but all the talk was of the McLaren resurgence.
Finally we got some results for the team, and it's good because after the really difficult start of the season, it was nice that some things are started going right way, and all the hard work what we have done with the 19B start to work out.
While Ralf Schumacher continues his convalescence, it's all change again at Williams for the German Grand Prix. Marc Genet had disappointed, so the team's test driver and one-time Jaguar pilot, Antonio Pizzonia, will hopefully bring a fresh sense of optimism to the team.
I think I'm more experienced now. I'm a better driver now, quicker driver now. And obviously I'm still learning a lot. Every day I learn something new. And I don't have as much experience as most of the guys on the grid, but I'm sure I can do a good job for the team.
He impressed them testing in 2002, and now they hope he can secure further points for the Constructors' Championship until this man is fit to return before he moves to Toyota for 2005. But BAR's quest for points was severely hindered when Jenson Button suffered engine trouble during Friday's practice session. A 10-place grid penalty soon followed, causing his third fastest qualifying time to be wasted.
Disappointing that we're going to be starting from 13th, but you know what can we do? This is the first time where I've had an engine problem, so you know I've had a very good year on that side of things. So we just got to do the best we can, and you know the Honda engine's working very well here, so we've got to wait and see.
Hockenheim 2003 was the last time this man won a race. He's lining up in second place next to third place Raikkonen. Could that give the pole sitter Schumacher something to worry about?
Yeah, it's close, and I think it's the two competitors which even look very good in terms of consistency for the weekend, which we have next to us, and we'll have to fight tomorrow.
Panis stalled on the first start, so the cars take their places once again. This time they're all away, but Montoya's progress is in the wrong direction. 5 cars pass him by turn 1. Alonso gets it right, though, and goes from 5th to 2nd. He really is setting himself up to be Michael's successor. Instead of relieving Coulthard of 5th, Barrichello relieves himself of his front wing, sending it into Montoya's path. He only qualified 8th, and he's not made life any easier. He's going to have a tough time keeping it on track, and he's lost a lot of time. Ferrari know the drill and prepare the remedy. Within seconds, the Ferrari is roadworthy again. The Ferrari front wing cost Montoya a place to the Jaguar of Mark Webber. Now he wants it back. Mark doesn't give up without a fight, but scrabbling for 6th is not where Montoya should have been after qualifying on the front row. Pantano won the German F3 title here in 2000, but he won't score points this weekend thanks to a puncture. Montoya's recovered from his poor start and truly presents no hazard as he makes his way back up the lap charts. Jarno doesn't even take advantage of a little mistake. All the top runners have pitted, so Button temporarily leads. But this is the real battle for first. Oh, well, it was. A rear wing failure pitches Raikkonen into a massive shunt. For once, it wasn't an engine issue. Kimi had a real chance to challenge Michael, and he knows it. Montoya gives an opportunity for Button to take 4th, Jenson doesn't need asking twice. Things are picking up for the team. The other BAR is on the move at the expense of Webber. Trulli's got some of Kimi's wing stuck in his car, and struggling with the handling, he frantically tries to restrain Takuma. But he doesn't have the measure of the feisty Sato, who makes a brash move to take the place. Now Webber gets past Trulli, to the disgust of Flavio. Jarno tries to keep up, but the damage is done. So far so good for David Richards, but it wasn't to be. A mistake spins Sato 360 degrees and loses him a place. The revised Toyota hasn't made a brilliant debut. A left rear puncture puts Cristiano De Mata out of the race. The battle for second is where the action can be found. Button passes Alonso. But Fernando hasn't given up yet. This battle means that Michael can take it easy at the front. Jenson Button is still behind Alonso. The pit stops will be crucial, as he got ahead of Coulthard in the second round, to the dismay of three-times Wimbledon champion Boris Becker. Alonso's been in, now it's Jenson to make his third and final stop. He's still in front of Coulthard, but behind Alonso again. Which keeps Flavio content for the moment. Jenson's not happy with his helmet, though. The strap is loose, so down the straights it's tight against his throat and almost choking him. So it's a pretty daring move down the inside that he tries on Alonso. And keeps trying. Finally, it works. Michael had complete control of the race once Kimi went out. Now he equals his own record of 11 wins in a season. Jenson put in a storming drive, the best of his career, to go from 13th to 2nd. Alonso fought his car and finished 3rd. What a boost for BAR. Webber scores some much-needed points for Jaguar, whilst Barrichello's out of the top 8 for the first time this year. But what about that battle for second?
I tried it a couple of times, a few different ways. Didn't work, and then after the pit stop, I found myself right behind Fernando again, and I can't remember what happened. I went down the inside and got the move, and then it was just holding on to it really around the next corner, which is the flat-out right-hander.
50 straight races without a mechanical failure ensures Schumacher is top dog. Button is 3rd, ahead of the Renaults. The battle for second will go to the end as Renault has a 9-point advantage over BAR. The Hungarian Grand Prix marks the end of a 3-week summer break for the teams and F1 personnel. Even though the championship continues with a vengeance, there was a definite back-to-school feeling in the paddock. Hungarian driver Zsolt Baumgartner is a big attraction. But it hasn't all been fun and games. It was announced that Jenson Button would not be with BAR for 2005. Instead, he would be joining the team he raced for in 2000, BMW Williams. This was disputed by BAR, and Jenson seemed more than a little reticent on the matter.
I'm not willing to answer anything to do with that. I can't comment on that. I can't say anything. I really can't. Well, I don't want to either. You know, I've said enough in the press, and I think that's what both parties have. The only thing I would say is that I've enjoyed working with BAR, and they've been a great team to work for. And I've had some very good times. Yeah.
There is a dispute. The matter will probably go to tribunal or to court, and because of that, I can make no comment on or off the record.
Situation's in front of the CRB. It'll be resolved in due course, and then after that we can sort of reflect on it and see what's appropriate at the time. But it's better now when tensions are high and emotions are high to forget about these issues and just get on with racing here in Hungary.
The Contract Recognition Board would have the final say. So while Jenson tried to keep smiling, the rest of the paddock had plenty to say on the matter.
Something needs to be either have been brewing, or something's happening, or the guy's lost his marbles. And I very much doubt if Jenson hasn't lost his marbles.
I guess he's an intelligent person and he's made his decision for reasons which are important to him.
Yeah, I'm amazed actually. I don't get the understanding. You know, maybe there's something within the team he doesn't like or something. But I'm really surprised, to be honest.
If an employee doesn't want to work for you, whether they be a driver, a mechanic, a guy who sweeps the floor, there's really no point in keeping them there.
It's Jenson's business and Williams and BAR business. Since they're both using Michelin tires, so we're happy about that. So we cannot interfere of what Mr. Button wants to do.
So if Jenson does go to Williams, Mark Webber will be his teammate, while Ricardo Zonta replaces Cristiano De Mata for the rest of this season. The summer period is a time for contracts to be finalised for the next year. Jarno Trulli finds that a race win was not enough to keep his seat at Renault and will instead join Ralf Schumacher at Toyota. That leaves Giancarlo Fisichella to fill the vacancy at the team formerly known as Benetton. Williams continue to grab headlines by reverting back to a more traditional front-wing configuration as their radical attempts failed to bring them any closer to Ferrari and pole sitter Michael Schumacher. There may have been a short break, but it's back to work now. Alonso took his maiden F1 victory here last year, and he wants to repeat the feat. A blistering start from 5th moves him straight up to 3rd, leaving the BARs behind. He even gets a glance down the inside of Barrichello, but that's all he gets. Attack from Pantano sends Zonta into Webber. No one else gets involved, but it's back of the pack for Ricciardo on his Toyota race debut. Sato didn't make a good start from P3. It's not getting any better. He's on the dirty part of the track, which helps Montoya take 4th. Now teammate Jenson Button takes 5th. Trulli 6th. And Raikkonen 7th. If you're not in a Ferrari, then you're just playing catch-up. Michael has a point to prove. He was lapped here last year, but this time it's business as usual. Kimi's run of bad luck continues. He had electrical problems before this first pit stop, and he's very slow to rejoin the track. He does his best to keep going. And the team do what they can. But his engine is still cutting out. There's nothing else to do but retire him. There's action too at Ferrari. Spilled fuel after Barrichello's stop raises concerns that he's been short-fueled. The mechanics try to alleviate the fire hazard. And worse still, the number 1 driver is expected in at any moment. They opt to use Michael's rig for both cars as a precaution. Stefano Domenicali keeps a close eye on proceedings for Michael's second stop. It's as efficient as ever. So that the drivers were blissfully unaware of the situation. When Michael re-emerges from the pit lane, Rubens is ages down the track, but it doesn't matter as they're both at the front. But you wouldn't have thought so from the faces at Ferrari. It's not been a memorable Toyota race debut for Ricardo Zonta. He loses power thanks to an electronics fault. Jarno Trulli's not a happy man either. His engine cut out following a loss of oil pressure, and he's forced to retire. And he's not in the mood for tea and sympathy. A lap down last year, nearly a lap ahead this time round. An improved Bridgestone tyre specifically designed for the requirements of the Hungaroring certainly helped Michael finish on top. With Rubens Barrichello second, it's a job well done and secures another championship for Ferrari. The team's 7th 1-2 of the season wraps up their 6th consecutive Constructors' title, and Michael could win the drivers in Spa. Montoya didn't have the speed to challenge Alonso's 3rd place. Sato finished 6th, but 1 lap down, and Fisichella took the final point. The result means that one of the Ferrari drivers will win the driver's title, as Rubens still has a mathematical chance. The only colour to be seen in today is Ferrari red. How do they do it?
It's just an amazing group of people who support each other, work with each other, have the same objectives and get on with it. And it's something I've never experienced before, and we're seeing the results.
Spa makes a welcome return to the F1 calendar, although the typical Ardennes weather is not so gladly received. Minardi, Jordan, Toyota, Jaguar and BAR all run a 3rd driver on Fridays as part of an attempt to help the smaller teams catch up without spiralling costs. Being a 3rd driver can help young hopefuls make the jump from other formulae to motorsport at the highest level.
The step from Formula 3000 to Formula 1 is very big. Not only let's say take a completely different driving style, but also to be working with so many people and so many engineers, and they all demand feedback on a lot of areas that I haven't had to give feedback on before. Generally I work with tires, and if there are new parts that we are thinking about running, and I get some information regarding those. Normally it's a good help for the other 2 drivers to have someone that can do a lot of mileage, because obviously they do not want to do too much mileage because they want to save the engines.
BAR have made tremendous progress this year. Has the extra track time helped?
We gather so much more data than other teams by running a 3rd car, and it's been a real advantage for us this year. And yeah, we've definitely learned really a lot with the car here, and with the tyres as well. It's been quite good for BAR because of the first year of Michelin, and it kind of levels things out as well, you know, fighting against Renault, McLaren, cars that have been on the Michelins for years.
Is it frustrating to test but not race the cars?
It is very frustrating to drive and then not to for the rest of the weekend, and that's why I normally just choose to go home on the Saturday, so I just cannot bear being around for 2 days not driving.
Ricardo Zonta was in the right place at the right time when his team decided to drop Cristiano de Mata.
As I'm the spare driver, I'm here to replace a driver in Toyota, so I'm very happy to be back in racing. And Cristiano is a very good friend of mine, and I think Formula 1 is like that, you never know.
But his replacement as third driver, Ryan Briscoe, had a nasty accident on Friday. A puncture caused him to spin at Eau Rouge. He was okay, but went to hospital for precautionary checks on his arm. The weather worsened on Saturday, forcing the amount of practice time to be reduced. Bruni's Minardi was one of the first casualties when the cars did finally go out. Pizzonia went off in the dying moments. Even the Rainmaster himself made a mistake. The track was drying out by qualifying, but a minor mistake left Kimi Räikkönen only 10th. Schumacher was faster through the second sector, but would it be enough to keep Trulli from pole? It's a mixed-up grid thanks to Spa's unique microclimate. Trulli converts pole into the lead. Alonso takes advantage of Michael. And Coulthard's in the mix. But Fisichella's slow start causes chaos into La Source. Both Webber and Button lose their front wings in the process. Away from the carnage, Trulli leads Alonso, Coulthard and Schumacher, while Räikkönen has climbed from 10th to battle 5th-placed Barrichello. But there's even more action behind. Sato spearing across the track, the two Minardis make contact. Now Pantano is out on the spot. There are cars everywhere. Pantano was just an innocent victim, although Bruni seems to disagree. A struggling Webber hits Sato, propelling him sideways. Bruni tried to avoid the wingless Button, but was hit by Baumgartner, sending him into the barrier. Leaving Pantano nowhere to go. With all that debris, the safety car has to come out. The first lap is not even completed, and there have been two major incidents. Montoya was lucky not to get caught up in the first corner mix-up. Barrichello was hit by Webber at La Source and has already stopped to repair a puncture, but he's still not happy. He's in again to replace his rear wing. And so is Massa, after contact with Sato. Up at the front, none of the top runners elect to pit. Trulli still leads Alonso, Coulthard, Schumacher, Räikkönen and Montoya, but there's a long way to go. Räikkönen is right on it when the race restarts, and he's all over Michael Schumacher. The Michelin tyres are working well, and Michael is at a disadvantage. Now Montoya looks to have him. This is what Formula 1 is all about. The first lap incidents played into Juan Pablo's hands, and now his fighting spirit is revived. Bad luck, Michael. Ferrari haven't had much practice at disappointed faces this season. McLaren are looking good here. They're battling each other for third. Although David doesn't exactly make it difficult for Kimi. The race leader makes his pit stop, leaving Alonso to lead the race. He's pulling away, but he's got oil on his rear tyres. And the lead is quickly handed over to Raikkonen. Briatore can't believe it. It was a Renault 1-2. Now one of the cars is out. Fernando suffered an engine oil leak onto the rear tyres, causing him to spin and recover, then spin and retire. It was too good for McLaren. Coulthard has a puncture just before his first pit stop from third. The team is straight on the job, but the tyre is in bits. It's a quick turnaround because race leader Raikkonen pits immediately afterwards. That leaves Montoya to head the field and keep Michael at bay. But Juan Pablo has to work quickly as he's due into the pits as well. Every second is vital here. But Massa is going to play a part. Montoya isn't yet up to speed, and Felipe has momentum out of the hairpin. Juan Pablo now has to pass the Sauber before getting on terms with Michael Schumacher again. And that won't be easy. Briatore is not very impressed. Trulli was the leader, now he's slipping back, giving third place up to Michael. He'd better be able to explain this drop in performance. It's getting worse. Now Montoya's on the prowl. Trulli does at least put up some resistance. Montoya gives it all he's got and tries the same crushing manoeuvre he put on Michael. But unlike before, he launches Trulli up in the air, which leaves him further down the track. Fisichella had done well to recover from the first corner pile-up, but now Barrichello wants fifth. And unsurprisingly, he gets it. Raikkonen's in for his second stop with a 12-second lead over Michael. He should stay at the front when the pit stops are complete. But there's trouble once again. Button and Baumgartner are out of the race. The BAR suffers a right rear blowout, hurling his car across the track and into the side of Baumgartner's Minardi. There are some very serious faces at Michelin. And Montoya has to keep clear of all the debris whilst it looks like another trip for the safety car. Michael makes his pit stop from the lead, while Jensen prepares for a long walk back to the garage. Now, third place to Pitsonia is out of a possible podium finish. Kimi slows the pack right down for the restart. He has Michael on his tail, so the pressure is on. Another Michelin tyre problem. This time it's Montoya who's forced to the pits. Raikkonen did not submit to Michael. But Montoya has to give in to a right rear failure, which damaged his rear suspension and the rear wing. Another retirement and another third place lost. Coulthard's move on Klian for 8th did not work out. And the team expects an imminent retirement.
Tell him to put off in a safe place. Pull over in a safe place, David.
The safety car makes a third visit onto the track. The team looks surprised to see him, but there's life in that McLaren yet. And with a new nose cone, Coulthard has every intention of scoring some points. Meanwhile, his teammate is having a much better time of it, leading. But the entertainment does not stop there. A Toyota engine has gone bang. Zonta was running fourth and chasing down Barrichello, but it wasn't to be. It's been a long time coming, but Kimi Räikkönen takes his second F1 win. Finally, McLaren have something to smile about, although the main attention is on Ferrari. By finishing second ahead of his teammate, Michael Schumacher is the 2004 Formula One World Champion. Only 9 cars crossed the line at one of the most challenging circuits in the sport. Sauber get their best result this year, and Klian scores his first F1 points. It's been one of the most action-packed races for some time. Kimi's the winner, but Schumacher is the champion. Trulli's ahead of his teammate, and Montoya lies 6th. It's the first time BAR haven't scored all year, but as it's nul point for Renault as well, it doesn't affect their position. Spa is a special circuit for Michael. He made his debut in a Jordan here in 1991. Now he takes an unprecedented 7th world title at the team's 700th Grand Prix. The last European race of the season is the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. World champion Michael Schumacher arrives at Ferrari's home event knowing that he's under pressure to perform in front of some of the most demanding of F1 fans, the Tifosi.
Being home here in Monza, having both championships achieved, and we just would like to put this, how you call it, the point on the E, no, on the I. Dotting the I. That's obviously the perfect scenario if he could do it.
Is winning a 7th championship the most important thing in his life?
When I come home, like after that, there was far more important things. Like my kids, when you go to a swimming school, you can make a certain exam, and they passed the exam, and that was much bigger celebration than my 7th championship, and I love that.
But how does the boss feel?
Big satisfaction for our tifosi. To be honest, I didn't expect at the beginning of the season to be here in these conditions. Happy because even after the 7th title, the team is concentrated with the feet in the ground, with humility, as I like.
Even with both titles wrapped up, there was still plenty going on. Baumgartner was again an innocent bystander. This time it was an out-of-control Jordan that took him out on Saturday morning. Qualifying left Montoya in between the 2 Ferraris, but it was Rubens who led the way.
I think it's the biggest chance I have all year, so it's time to do it well tomorrow as well.
Winning in front of their dedicated supporters is essential for Ferrari. Changeable weather conditions make tyre choices difficult. Coulthard makes a late call for dries and will start in the pit lane on a full tank of fuel. Schumacher and Montoya expect a mega start from Alonso and try to stop him. But he just makes the climb to second look easy. Michael started the race on dry tyres and finds himself skating down to turn 1 and cutting the chicane. That manoeuvre would hand him a penalty. All he can do is let those cars he jumped pass him by. But maybe he was a little too humble when Jenson made his move. Michael spins and so does Pitsonia. This is still lap 1 and already there are cars everywhere. But the only one to retire is Olivier Panis. P15 is not the best way to end the first lap. Montoya set the fastest ever lap here in pre-qualifying, but he's struggling to keep it together in the race. He's off the track and is forced to let Button through when he rejoins. No comment from Williams. Alonso's aggressive first stint gives him the impetus to snatch first place from Barrichello. An imminent change of tyres would explain the relative ease with which Alonso took the lead. When Barrichello pits, his worn intermediates are replaced with dry tyres, and with a few adjustments for the drying conditions, he sets off again. Rubens is relegated to 9th, but he's still ahead of the number 1 Ferrari. Michael is making his way up the timing pages and passes Fisichella for 10th. This time he's careful not to overshoot the chicane. There's no chance for Raikkonen to repeat his Spa win. The only thing he scores is his 8th retirement of the season, thanks to a water leak in his engine, and he doesn't want to talk about it. Michael hasn't pitted and has fought his way back up to 3rd behind Alonso. Now it's the BAR of race leader Jenson Button that's under threat. Bruni makes his pit stop, but fuel escapes when the hose is removed, and this is the result. The immediate response of the mechanics ensures the flames are put out in seconds, and they even try and put more fuel in. Bruni gets out, he's safe, but he has inhaled some of the fumes and is struggling for breath. The team have had a lucky escape. But it could have been much worse. Michael is due in this lap, but for now he leads the race from his teammate. And Jenson Button, who's lapping his way through the back markers. Michael clawed his way back to the front. And he will only drop to 4th on account of this pit stop. Alonso's 3rd and chasing Button, but he's pushed too hard. And he's off into the gravel. He took too much curb in the second chicane and lost control of the rear of the car. Michael had a hand from the marshals after a similar incident at the Nürburgring last year, but Alonso doesn't get the same treatment. He doesn't want their help now. Jenson Button had led the race earlier on, but Michael passes him for 2nd, and Barrichello exits his final pit stop in the lead. Button doesn't yield to the champion, but a Ferrari 1-2 looks inevitable. Pitsonia sets his targets too high. He may be ruining a lost podium in Spa, but gets a little overambitious with this move on DC going into the first chicane. A Ferrari 1-2 after the opening lap may have seemed unlikely, to say the least. But they got it back on track to head the field to the flag with Rubens the happy victor. Just to prove they can never be discounted. Montoya was a lacklustre fifth behind Button and Sato. Pitsonia and a one-stop in Coulthard survived their tangle to scrape a points finish. VAR was certainly best of the rest and deservedly move up to second in the Constructors' Championship with 3 races to go. Today it's Barrichello that's got the treble. Pole position, the fastest lap, race win, and all in front of the Tifosi.
All in all, it was such a good feeling after the third stop when I was asking where I am, where am I, and then they say, you calm down, you're P1. And say, whoa, unbelievable.
Ferrari's success this year has been pretty incredible. But how will they fare at F1's first outing in China? The second of the new circuits on the calendar this year takes Formula One to the Far East, to the People's Republic of China. Around $250 million was spent to produce a phenomenal facility that pushes the boundaries of circuit design whilst preserving the cultural integrity of the nation.
It's something different from what we used to do because new circuits are always nice.
It didn't take long for Formula One fever to get a grip on Shanghai.
Come on, Shumi, my friend, come on!
It gave everyone the opportunity to immerse themselves in the local way of life in one of China's biggest and most cosmopolitan of cities.
It's super, super. But more of that, super.
And what about the circuit?
I like it. I like it very much. I think it's going to be physically quite tough.
Go, Barry, go!
While the F1 personnel made themselves comfortable in their very plush new surroundings, a familiar face settled himself back into Formula One with Renault to replace Trulli for the last 3 races.
What's up? How you doing? Thank you very much. Yeah. Did you have any fun this year?
What made the 1997 world champion return?
There wasn't one day where I woke up and thought, okay, now I'm ready. It just happened gradually. I took the winter to ski, play ice hockey, and just relax a little bit, clear the mind. And then as soon as the snow started melting, it was time to do something else. And that's when I started training really hard, just to be ready, because I knew I wasn't done with racing.
Jacques was keen to prove he still had his racing credentials. As was Ralf Schumacher, who returned relaxed and recuperated after his crash at Indy. After 3 months out, did he get bored just watching his brother at home?
He's simply the best with the best car, end of story, and he deserves to win. Whether it's 7 or 10 titles by the end of his career, you know, if we are not good enough to beat him, it's our problem. And I think it's not at all boring. It's rather boring that we can't beat him by simply doing a better job altogether. Drivers maybe, and car for sure.
But he didn't have the better car on Friday after a software glitch halted him at the end of the pit lane. For once, Jean Todt had a very worried expression. And from the look on Michael's face, You'd think he'd lost the championship. He did let the chance of an all-red front row slip out of reach with this spin in qualifying. And just like Monza, he'll have to wrestle for his position. Massa made the best of his new Bridgestones to put together an almost perfect qualifying lap. Felipe is 4th and his teammates 7th, earning them Sauber's best results all season. But it's not all good news. It was announced that Jaguar would be put up for sale as parent company Ford decided that it could no longer make a compelling business case for any of its brands to compete in Formula One. The company's withdrawal of backing for the Cosworth engine division will have serious implications for Minardi and Jordan, who've benefited from subsidised engine deals.
I will fight tooth and nail to be on the grid in Australia next year. But can I guarantee anything? I'm not prepared to discuss that at the moment, but for sure I won't go down without a big fight.
And the staff at Jaguar will do all they can to encourage a buyer to keep the team in the sport and their spirits up. An early morning engine change sees Michael Schumacher starting from the pit lane on a full tank of fuel. So the formation lap goes ahead without him. Everyone wonders what surprises Shanghai has in store for the F1 fraternity. Sato's expiring engine left him 19th, so the team do all they can to help him through the pack without incident.
All clear, right. Jordan can't see you. Left Jordan, you can see him, no one behind you. All clear ahead. Still all clear ahead. Left. Jaguar left. Right, you can see him.
Alonso went from 6th to 3rd in seconds, but Massa's in hot pursuit. Webber got ahead of Montoya, and they're all through turn 1 safely. While one Ferrari languishes at the back, the other retains his grid advantage ahead of Raikkonen and Alonso, while Button has the Sauber of Massa ahead and the Sauber of Fisichella behind. But he doesn't want to be chasing Felipe for long. He's on a mission to win this race, and now Alonso's 3rd place is in the offing. Fernando doesn't sit back, but his car just isn't quick enough. Michael Schumacher is staging a comeback. But ends up slap bang in the side of the Jaguar of Klein. At least the Ferrari driver is still in the race, which is more than could be said for Klein. Rear suspension damage leaves him high and dry in the pit lane. Michael's farcical race continues. He was a lap down and following Alonso, but the Renault slipstream knocked him off kilter and sent him spinning 360 degrees. He lost several places, but DC is reluctant to return what the world champion recklessly threw away. Only a lock-up from Coulthard saves Michael's position. He now sets off in pursuit of Fisichella, while the Ferrari press officer wonders how to put a positive spin on his antics. It's by far his most entertaining performance this season. Now he's chasing his brother. And things could get very messy. Michael is relentlessly hounding Ralph and loving every second of it. He even gives him a cheeky wave as he goes past. The 145,000 strong crowd are relishing the entertainment. Barrichello is in for his second pit stop, and it's trouble-free. Thanks to traffic, Kimi has not been able to steal his lead. But McLaren are in Formula One to win. So Kimi starts chasing the Ferrari once again, and the team rethink their strategy. While Barrichello controls the gap to Raikkonen, Michael has to try and keep his car on track. A left rear puncture leaves him on 3 wheels and losing even more time. If Luca Di Montezemolo wanted to see his champion win, he's had a wasted trip to Shanghai. The tyre is in shreds, and so is the chance of a points finish. McLaren elect to bring Raikkonen in early for his third pit stop to try and get ahead of Rubens. However, Button has made his final visit to the pits on a 2-stop strategy and is already hurtling down the pit straight. McLaren's bold attempt to lead ends up elevating Jensen to second. It looks very promising, but things are getting a bit messy in the closing stages. A close encounter with David Coulthard has disastrous results for Ralph's race. He spins and takes to the pit lane, but the team cannot help at this time.
Just go through, Ralph. Do not stop. They're not your tyres. The puncture, they have to stop totally. Whatever you want. Pull him out of the way. Just turn the engine off. So you need to try and get a tyre to it. Right rear tyre. Montoya's about 30 seconds away.
Ralph is not impressed. He's outpaced his teammate all weekend, but has to make way for Montoya's pit stop. And he won't be waiting around to see it. It was an ambitious move. But his transgressor didn't come off lightly either. DC also gets a puncture, but is able to continue. Ralph makes his feelings clear to Sam Michael. A quick check deemed the car race-worthy, but Ralph's not listening. Pitsonia may be waiting in the wings, but Ralph won't be getting back in the car. Bruni got a puncture early on. Now his wheel decides to detach itself from his car. A mechanical fault caused the left front wheel to come off, entailing a tricky crawl back to the pits and some brutal comments to the team.
Come in, try to come in. If you're going to stay on the track, make sure you stay off the line, off the line.
Whilst Bruni gets things off his chest, Jacques Villeneuve sets to work on chasing Mark Webber, knowing his team have faith in his abilities.
Jack, on a clear track, I think you're at least 1 second quicker than Webber. Come on, get him, get him.
Jacques responds and gives it all he's got. Coulthard's also pushing hard, with Massa in front. But he can't get ahead of the Sauber to take the final point. Barrichello makes his point absolutely clear. For Ferrari, it's a team effort and a job well done. A risk for the win denied Raikkonen second place, while Sato did well to finish sixth. Barrichello was kept under almost constant pressure, but he did not break and is the winner of the inaugural Chinese Grand Prix. Ferrari fanaticism reaches across the globe, and everyone is happy to see Rubens take back-to-back wins. When Formula One moved on to Japan, it was clear that the weather was going to feature throughout the weekend. Rain, rain, and yet more rain made Jarno Trulli's early debut for Toyota particularly perilous. Even the world champion got caught out, as did Alonso and Massa. The rain did not cease to fall, and there was more to come. Typhoon Ma-on was predicted to hit the Suzuka area on Saturday afternoon, posing a genuine threat to the safety of fans, drivers and personnel. After much deliberation, it was decided that the circuit would not open on Saturday on the grounds of safety. That left the teams to batten down the hatches.
No driving tomorrow. So the steward have decided that tomorrow the track will be closed, and we'll have a pre-qualifying, qualifying session on Sunday morning before the race.
There was a flurry of activity when the FIA handed out the press release to the world's media. The normally bustling pit lane was eerily quiet on Saturday morning, by which time the typhoon had changed its course and moved south of Suzuka. Sunday brought the Ferrari fans back out in force, and Michael didn't let them down. He produced a determined return to form after the disaster that was Shanghai and took his 63rd career pole. Only 2 less than Ayrton Senna. The bright rising sun on race day made the typhoon warnings look like a storm in a teacup. Sato celebrates his team's 100th Grand Prix with 4th, just ahead of his teammate. It's a big race for BAR, Honda, and of course the Japanese driver himself. Poor results in the first session saw several key players qualifying on a rapidly drying track. Alonso, Raikkonen, Montoya and Barrichello find themselves in unfamiliar territory. Olivier Panis hopes for the best in his last F1 race after 11 years in the sport and starts 10th. And a revitalised Ralf Schumacher is raring to go on the front row next to his brother. Sato doesn't get the start he needs. Now his 2-stopping teammate is troubling his mirrors. There are no team orders, but the drivers are reminded of their different strategies. With top guys in the midfield, there is plenty of track action. Alonso has to go for it, but he can't do that behind his slower teammate, so passes Villeneuve for 9th. Raikkonen struggling. Montoya wants 11th. This 4-car brawl is anyone's game. Technical director Jeff Willis keeps track of Sato's progress. BAR would like to see Takuma on the podium at his home Grand Prix, but he needs a bigger margin over the heavier fueled Button if he's to remain third. Michael has a healthy lead over his brother at the first round of pit stops. And nothing much changes when he rejoins, it's just Button who is behind. Fisichella was so busy radioing to the team about a sensor problem on the fuel alarm that he confused his Sauber with a rally car. F1 teams want their drivers getting fired up, but not literally. Mark Webber's cockpit became excruciatingly hot, and as the team couldn't find the cause, he was forced to retire in the garage.
You've got training or something, he's very slow at the moment. He is very slow, there's something wrong with him.
Montoya's off the pace, and Patrick Head wants to know why. A hasty move on Trulli costs Juan Pablo 8th place to Barrichello. Now Fisichella's back in F1 mode, he gets his claws into the Williams. While Rubens lunges at Trulli, giving Ross Brawn palpitations. But this won't make him happy. Coulthard's in the pits, and Rubens is trying to get there. Everyone else tries to work out what happened. Two drivers cannot make the final chicane side by side. But Ferrari cannot give Rubens the attention he needs. Michael is due in for his final pit stop, and is only seconds behind. His only alternative is to retire in the garage. While Barrichello laments his misfortune, everyone agrees it was just a racing incident.
It's difficult to say if it was anybody's fault. It's just that, you know, I couldn't lose much time, and he was like 2 seconds slower, so I had to go for it.
I think it was a little optimistic, but yeah, you know, when you consider what I did to Ralph in China, then you have to say that's a payback, because it was optimistic there as well.
Ralph can be encouraged by a strong performance. He's kept his brother honest, and after his third and final stop, he has Button behind and Sato in front. Although the local favourite is yet to make his last visit to the pits. Michael may be cruising, but Massa's up for a fight, and his 2005 teammate Jacques Villeneuve is his prey. He makes his move, but can't make it stick. So he has another go. Fantastic racing, and this time it works. Michael let Massa unlap himself, but that was the only concession he made throughout the race. He's been in full control from start to finish. The mess that was Shanghai is but a distant memory, thanks to a crushing win from pole position. With his brother on the podium next to him, it's an almost perfect day. BAR took third and fourth. Trulli finished 11th on his Toyota debut, but Panis ended his race career 14th and 2 laps down. It's non-stop smiles at Ferrari, and who can blame them? Michael's done it again. Next up, it's off to Brazil for the end-of-season Samba that will be Sao Paulo. Can Rubens be the man to keep the grins on Ferrari's faces? It's the last round of the F1 Championship, and while the titles are all wrapped up, other matters needed clarification. The Contracts Recognition Board concluded that Jenson Button will not move to Williams as he intended, but will remain with BAR for 2005.
A bit disappointed. It's not the result I expected, but you know, it's the CRB's decision, and I'm at BAR next year.
There are many things in life we would like to do, we would want to do, and at the end of the day we sit down and reflect on what our responsibilities are and what we're obliged to do. And at the end of the day, Jenson's a great racing driver. We will give him a great car next year, and I think together we can put great performances on the track.
Obviously showing our interest in him for the possibility for 2005. Our interest is to have him in the Williams, BMW Williams team as soon as possible.
For the rest of the paddock, the mood was relaxed and playful. But perhaps the party atmosphere put Michael off his stride. He picked up some oversteer and lost control in Saturday morning practice. It proved to be a huge error. Because of the damage, he switched to the T car for qualifying and gained a 10-place grid penalty. But whilst one Ferrari will be 18th, Rubens Barrichello starts his home Grand Prix on pole position next to good friend Juan Pablo Montoya. And with the full backing of the crowd, he hopes to end his rotten run of luck at Interlagos. The last race day of the year does not bring sunshine. Rain had threatened all morning and arrived just before the start. Tyre choice will be critical. But these are conditions Michael thrives in. He still could be the one to watch, even starting behind the Jordan. Coulthard won here in the wet 3 years ago and wants to get a good result at his 150th and last race with McLaren. Most teams opt for intermediates, but Renault decide to take a risk on dry tyres and a two-stop strategy for both their drivers. Button's engine is smoking and the race hasn't even started yet. For the last time in 2004, the cars get away. Barrichello retains his lead. Montoya goes to block Kimi, but is forced to restrain Massa instead. Montoya may have a special helmet design this weekend, but it can't stop him conceding third to fellow South American Massa. Renault's gamble on the dry tyres is sending Alonso backwards. The Michelin intermediates are stronger on the wet track, enabling Raikkonen to snatch the lead from the local boy. Massa and Montoya are not out of the frame yet either. Even on the Bridgestone tyres, Felipe curbs Montoya's charge for third. Things are turning bad for Williams. Button ignores his engine woes to steal fourth from Montoya and third from Massa. Then Juan Pablo gets his own back on the Sauber. The weather conditions are improving, but it's not quite time to take dry tyres. Although Alonso has to make do with what he's got. Raikkonen increases his lead from Barrichello, while a still smoking Button puts a move on Massa again. Jenson's giving it all he's got. He takes fourth, but surely his time is limited for this Grand Prix. Michael Schumacher is slowly making his way through the pack. He takes ninth from Klein, but gets caught out by the slippery curbs. At least he gets a clear view of all the cars he has to repass. This isn't what Ross Brawn expects from a driver of his calibre. Barrichello is coming back at Kimi. He's only finished this race once in more than 10 attempts, but if he could win here, it would be amazing. It's looking good. And the crowd are ecstatic. Button's engine finally expires. A sorry end to a brilliant season with 10 podium finishes. Meanwhile, the weather is improving and McLaren prepared dry tyres for Kimi. Montoya is also making the change. This could be a pivotal moment in the race. It's going to be a close call. Very close indeed. Neither driver says after you, but Kimi has the inside and takes the position. Patrick Head is straight back on the radio to tell his man to get in front. And Montoya willingly obliges, using the McLaren slipstream. Alonso has acted as a barometer for the rest of the pit lane. Dry tyres are the way to go. But Barrichello stayed out too long and rapidly slips down the order. It does give Massa one lap at the top of the timing pages at his home race. Coulthard made mincemeat of Schumacher here in 2001, and he's got the upper hand now. There's not enough room, so Michael has to yield. Renault's gamble on tyres gave Alonso the lead, and one less pit stop has put him out of sync. He exits the pits 6th, but this will soon become 3rd after everyone else has stopped. It's Jaguar's last Grand Prix. And their drivers take the phrase going out with a bang a little too literally. Webber's attempt to pass Klein failed, ending his 2 years at Jaguar on a very flat note. By the 3rd round of stops, Barrichello is 5th, but some handiwork from Ferrari gets him out ahead of this battle for 4th. Ralph's on the pace, and when Alonso makes a mistake, he seizes his chance. But when Ralph locks up, Fernando pays him back. Jaguar's final pit stop is a touching moment for all. Montoya stayed ahead of Raikkonen through the last round of stops, but Kimi is hanging on. There's a battle of wits going on here, as they will both be McLaren drivers next season. But it's Montoya that stakes his claim as the #1 and takes a magnificent victory at Interlagos. He led the race here in 2001, but got punted out by Verstappen. This time, the triumph is all his. And it's a fitting way to end his career with Williams.
Nice job. What a race, man. What a race. This is great.
He is only the 3rd non-Ferrari winner this year. After 9 years and 51 podiums with McLaren, Coulthard finished a disappointing 11th, while his teammate was only 1 second behind Montoya at the flag.
It's unbelievable, to be honest. It was a really hard race. I made one mistake and Kimi got right behind me, and I thought, oh, just don't do anything stupid. Just keep it in the road, and I did towards in the end. No, it's fantastic. It's been 4 years with Williams. We had up, down, and everything, and I think to close these 4 years with a win is unbelievable.
In the final reckoning, the Ferraris are in a league of their own, while Button and Alonso finish ahead of last year's championship contenders. Ralph ties with Coulthard even with his absence, and Pitsonia did well in only 4 outings. Glock was only 1 point behind his experienced teammate, and only 5 drivers failed to score. BAR were Ferrari's nearest rivals, but with 143 less points. Renault beat Williams and McLaren into submission, and Minardi rounded all off. There will be plenty more champagne corks popping tonight, but what about 2004? What have been the season's highs and lows?
High point of the season? Well, there's none. Probably the front row in Malaysia, but it was disappointing not to get away, obviously, from the start.
Highest point, can't remember.
No, I mean 2004 as such was very disappointing for us.
Back-to-back wins, I think they were most definitely fantastic.
Of course, the US Grand Prix, first podium ever for me.
For the team, I think obviously Canada and Timo Glock, first ever race to score points. It was fantastic.
The worst, Monaco. It's the only race where I didn't finish. Crashing with Rubens and Suzuka.
Shanghai.
The fire in Monza during the pit stop.
Monza, Monaco was 2 races that I was doing well and I didn't finish, so bad moment.
Spa, where my tyre, I got a puncture and spun off at about 300k, so that's probably the worst point.
There are always low points in racing, but if you don't sort of have a few low points, you don't celebrate the great days, do you? So I tend to forget low points. They're behind us.
Imola qualifying was a pretty high point, and probably Hockenheim race.
The second part of this championship was very good for me.
Oh, it's coming. Hasn't happened yet.
Brazil, I think it's great. I was thinking the first time I led a race for Williams was here, and I finished it here, so it was nice.
My victory in Monaco was a good moment. Driver's title and constructor title.
It was a fantastic year for Ferrari and Michael. No one can ever take that away.